El Buntador, you need to put those away, sir. You gotta have the license to carry those things.
Dale.
Dang. I was like, look at you flexing all those músculos. But bienvenidos y buenas noches para las todos in BC WrestlePod land. And welcome to another rendition of Los Lobos de la Lucha, your CMLL weekly review show here on the BC WrestlePod YouTube, Twitch conglomeration network syndicate thing we got going on around here. I don't know what we're here. Yes, fantastic. But I am one of your hosts, Mikey, also known as El Jefe. Gotta roll with a give it a little bit of phlegm in there. I am the boss here at BC WrestlePod, but I am just one of the many faces here. And joining me this evening is we have a full house. We have the whole squad together. First and foremost, you know him, you love him. You can find him here on CMLL. El Buntador the Second. Hello, my friend. Buenas noches. How are we doing this evening?
Saludos, mi gente. Buenas noches. I'm doing well. Very excited to talk about this show. This is a great show. This was a great show.
The wrestling gods were not happy with me for some reason because I talk a lot of smack on NXT, but I am happy you are here as well. And of course, rounding us out, what would Los Lobos de la Luchas be but to balance out the muy picanteness that is me and El Buntador? But we need to have a little bit of the lighter persuasion in the chat, so El Papo Oso himself, Will, is in the house. Hello, my friend. I have missed you. How are we doing this evening?
Doing great. Super excited. Glad to be here.
Excited. I am super excited too because we have a really fun show to review. We here at CMLL on Los Lobos de la Lucha are reviewing the Viernes Espectacular show that took place on Friday, October 18th, which is pretty much the prelude to what to expect for this upcoming Friday show, which we'll get into that when we get there a little bit later. But let us not waste any time because I'm going to be honest with you guys. Outside of the Aniversario show, this is probably one of my favorite episodes of CMLL that we have watched so far because we had a lot of Amazona action this episode. And I was here for all of it.
I mean, it is El Mes de las Amazonas, so.
It is very true. But of course, we've seen other promotions in the Western Hemisphere do a very special like Women's Week, Women's Month, and then, not do great. Literally outside of 2 matches, everything else was nothing but Amazonas. And I was so excited with everything. And you know what? This was also a really good episode because it introduced us to a lot of the team that would be representing Team World on in the Grand Prix this Friday. And if this is just a taste of what we have, I am so excited for Friday. But we are going to begin with what opened up the show this week, which this is probably one of my favorite things. We had a tag team match with Caída. So first we're going to talk about, we had the Rudos, which was all of, La Ola Negra, which is Espanto Jr., Dark Magic, and Raider, taking on the team of Los Viajeros del Espacio, so Futuro and Max Star, and everybody's favorite Mexican candy turned wrestler, Pelón Encapuchado, made his appearance once again.
Pelón Encapuchado at my store, and I'm sad. Sad about that.
I could probably find it since I live in California, especially since the city I live in is predominantly Latino, so I could probably find it at one of the mom and pop shops. I'm gonna go on a field trip this weekend to see if I can find some, and if I can, I'm shipping it out to El Buntador and to Papa also, respectively.
And we'll eat it in the next review when we get it. We'll all eat it together. We'll sit review CMLL.
Hey guys, it's like, welcome to the CMLL ASMR channel. Or we just have a mug, or we have a mukbang.
Yeah.
I am super excited, but
the funny thing is, real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the funny thing is we have several little mom and pa like Latin grocery stores.
Oh, that's right, because you're in Texas, Texas is also full of them too.
Yeah.
So I might be able to find some here.
Me and Will have home over the weekend.
Do it.
I am going to look for it, and you know what? I'm gonna have Mom and Will.
I don't even know what it is, and I'm like, I'm excited about it. I see the little ads in the background, and I'm like, what the hell is that?
I know. I think I can ask the science teacher because he has a whole bunch of them in his class. Anyways, we digress. The reason we're bringing this out because our favorite Mexican candy wrestler was a part of this match in Pelon Encapuchado. I mean, this is what opens up the night, and we say this every single week here at Los Lobos de la Lucha. The opening match is going to determine how the rest of the energy is carried for the rest of the show, and this was just straight fun.
It was.
Yeah.
I got some laughs too because I'm looking over here at Espanto Jr. I'm like, sir, you are leaving little to the imagination. Like, what is happening here? Also, Dark Magic just gets more dapper and dapper every time he walks out. I'm like, sir, what in the Chippendales is this? What?
Yeah, you know, when Espanto Jr., Dark Magic, and Raider come out, I love the evolution they've had the past, like, especially in the past 2 months in their gear coming out to the ring. Because this past Friday, they all looked just like straight gangsta. It's nice. Dug it.
Yeah, they were. They were all fine. They were. I was like, they were. You know, the funny thing is, they were all like sexier than they've ever been for some reason, and I don't even know why. Because even when they were coming out, I was like, wait a minute, something. What's?
They have a whole different aura, which has been interesting to see this evolution. And even Tengu, who came out with them too, little Microstar Tengu.
Yeah, and Tengu came out with his mask.
So funny.
But the match, it was a great match.
It was a really good match.
Yeah, it was a good match. Set the pace for the night. Dug it.
And of course, our favorite Mexican candy wrestler picked up the win.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Indeed.
You know,
Dandy.
At first, I wasn't sure if I was going to like this product placement as a wrestler. But the more he is on my show, I'm just like, I just need him more on my show now. Like, just give it to me.
You know, sometimes the silly just needs to happen. You know, you just need to sit back and just let it go, because it'll surprise you sometimes.
Yeah, but but like on the other side of that, like Pelon, he's just a good wrestler. Period. Yeah. You know, so that whoever corporate guy or whatever was like, he's the one that we're gonna have as the Pelon Encapuchado. That was a smart individual, because he's great. He he comes out, he gets the crowd going, he does the whole thing with his head, and then he gets in the ring and he amps it up. So
yeah, he's cute.
Yep.
Yes, he is. We say it all the time here. This is going to be the gayest show that you will see here on the BC WrestlePod network, because we have 2 out of the 3 of us part of the community, and we have a really awesome ally within this group as well. But this match was a lot of fun.
I am not the ally.
No, really, we couldn't tell. I'm just kidding.
Just in case somebody out there didn't realize that.
You are fruitier than the fruit basket that I had earlier today. Okay.
I'm as queer as a $3 bill.
But this match was a lot of fun. Max Star Futuro and Pelon Encapuchado pick up the victory here. Great way to start off the night. I would like to take a moment, because my heart was not ready by what we saw in this next. Holy shit, Batman. Like this. Oh my gosh. This was only the first Amazona match of the night, and I already knew this night was going to be a banger, as the kids say. But we basically have a showcase showing some of the members of Team Mexico taking on some of the members of Team World. So in our second match of the evening, this is for 2 out of 3 falls, so dos caídas. And representing Team Mexico in this match, we had Amapola, Sanely, Metallica, and Olympia taking on Team World, which is being represented by Alex Windsor, Miss Van, who I loved her entrance, Samantha Black, and straight out of Yo Mama's Kitchen, Red Velvet.
Stir it up, stir it up.
I love her theme and her entrance. She is so fantastic. But
Yeah.
oh my gosh, El Buntador, this was a match that I knew was going to be fun, but holy crap, all 8 of these women brought it to this match. I was just like,
Yeah.
I was in awe. I love this. Of course, the first 2 falls, Team World got one, Team Mexico got one. We were tied up. And I'm not going to lie, I'm very biased because I love Red Velvet in ROH. Like the 4 of us that watch ROH on a consistent basis. But it was so fun watching her get the win. Her finisher is so devastating to watch. Like,
And-
oh my gosh.
And really quick, all right, about Red Velvet, okay, and her finisher. Look, I dare I say it is just a tinge different than Mercedes Monet's finisher, but Red Velvet pulls it off so smoothly and so quickly. You know, I don't know what the disconnect is there. I just, you know, because I watched the AEW review and I knew that was a thing. But yeah, Red Velvet, that finisher that she pulls off, just so good. And can we talk about Alex Windsor?
Oh my gosh. Like I've only been put onto her for the last couple of months. She's made a couple of ROH appearances. And then this match, I was like, ooh, girl, you were a perfect pick to represent British wrestling. Like, oh
right?
my God.
Power and grace, and she will punch you about the face. Holy cow. You know, the 4 ladies that make up the international contingent in this, and I mean Viva Van too, dude, when she does that thing where they try to come over on Viva Van with the lariat or the clothesline, and she does that like slide underneath, like it just so pretty. And Samantha Black from Costa Rica, you know, she represented as well. She looked a lot more yeah, that's the proper English. She looked a lot more dialed in this match than in the previous week's match.
Last week's match, yeah.
Yeah, and not saying that she didn't look good in last week's match, but this match really like solidified her. And you know, I felt that this was a very good way for the Mexican crowd to see this international team, you know, because you know we're the CMLL is for the Mexican crowd, you know, and the Mexican crowd already knows that Amapola, Sanely, Metallica, and Olympia are great. Oh God, and Olympia. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Step on me, senpai.
That they are fantastic wrestlers, you know. But kudos to CMLL to give the international wrestlers this welcome, dare I say, into Arena Mexico.
Yeah. Papa Oso, your thoughts, because you know we're very familiar with our Amazonas in Mexico, but because we've seen Samantha last week, this is your real first introduction to a lot of the other women representing Team World. So how did you feel about this match? And then just give us your overall thoughts.
Well, I thought the match was amazing because it's a women's match, and when's it not going to be? Hey, you hush. This match... Sorry, guys. My little pit bull is like... He wants me to let him outside. So
you go, Pity.
Sorry. Pity interrupt us. Go.
He's also a big supporter of women's wrestling, apparently.
He is, very much so. No, I thought this match, and maybe because of the significance of this match, but man, this match was far more brutal than previous women's matches. Like I sat there and I was just like, wow, these women are destroying each other. I mean, they're after a prize. I mean, it was like I was just like, good lord. I was like, I mean, the sheer power coming in. I mean, I'm the uh the Mexican contingency ladies, man, talk about I mean, it was like night and day because like the Mexican ladies, they're like thick, and then the international ones are a little more on the petite side, and for the most part. And I was just like, oh, they're going to destroy them, but no, it really wasn't that way at all. It was a pretty coolly even match round to round. I was just amazed by it. I was these Every time I see a women's match on CMLL, I am more and more impressed with their female wrestlers. Like, if that's even possible. I mean, truly, even more so than some of their male wrestlers. And I do love me some male wrestlers too, but these women are just so freaking talented, and they're so good at what they do. I just it's a pleasure to watch them wrestle, truly. And I would tell anybody to go if you want to watch some amazing wrestling, go watch the women's division at CMLL or any of the even the Guatemalan one. The women were like way better than the men at some points. So go watch them. I wish, and I say this all the time, I really wish Western wrestling would embrace women's wrestling more like they do in other countries. I just wish American wrestling more so than Western, but I wish American wrestling would go, hey, you know what? I think we could do something with these women wrestlers. Let's let them do what we hired them to do. It's like, and do a whole thing, where you can have half of your night's episode is all women. Hell yes. Because let me tell you, it doesn't detract. It only gets better. Because we had that opening match, and I was like, oh, yeah, that was badass. Then the women came into it, and I was like, oh, hell yes. This night's going somewhere. And then, of course, we get, the other women's matches in this evening, and it was just like, why can't American wrestling companies do that? I mean, it was almost an entire evening of women's wrestling.
So it's funny that you bring this up, Will, and not to cross promote too much, but about an hour and a half ago, when I was doing the NXT review with our friend Louise, we got into talking about women, and we're just talking about we need more promotions, like you said, to embrace women's wrestling and kind of allow it to be a main focal point, and it doesn't always have to be in the special occasion kind of thing. Because for me personally, and this is just my opinion, this is not reflecting on Papa Oso or El Puntador, I love all the women's divisions across all the shows we review here. But if I had to pick my favorites, CMLL has a very strong Amazonas roster, but the NXT women's division also has a lot of stars too. I mean, we have all our girls right there that are primed to be on main roster, like a Roxanne and a Cora Jade. And then, of course, after last night, we have our new big three have officially debuted in NXT and are in the mix now in Julia from Japan, Stephanie Vaquer, and Miss Delta made her presence known last night, who she's going by Zarya now, so that way she gets to keep the name Delta and everything. But women's division in CMLL is just fantastic. And like, you have such a wide roster of women here in Mexico and in NXT. I was just like, let women's wrestling be the focal point, is guess what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is, yeah, I agree with you. Like NXT and even TNA, for the most part, has a really, really good.
They utilize all their women in TNA very well, even though the roster is really small for the women.
But see, like the WWE folks, it's like, yeah, NXT has some badass women wrestlers, but they don't utilize them. They do not utilize them enough, and they should, because, like I said, and I will say it right here too. The women on NXT, a lot of them can give those men a run for their money. I mean, truly, in talent, all of it. I mean, they could give them a run. And I think that American wrestling they should take a page out of the CMLL book and like Boom. And that's the thing is, here's my, and getting back to CMLL, this is my thing that I love about CMLL is that it's not men's division, women's division. It is wrestlers. Yeah, they're called Amazonas or they're this and that, but it's not like, we separate them. It's like, oh, well, here's the men. Okay, we might have a women's match. It's like, no, they're all wrestlers. Let's put them all out there and let's let them do their thing. That's what we hired them to do.
And what I love from CMLL is that the audience, it doesn't matter what match it is, they are invested 110% regardless of who's involved. And that's something we don't see here in the Western crowds and the Western audiences. Because again, it's to get on my soapbox a little bit, because it's a cultural difference, because the culture of Mexicos and Latinos in general and Latinas in general are different than those of the counterparts here in the United States or in any other Western country. So I'm just like, this match ruled. Like,
it did.
Oh my gosh.
Just so y'all know, it's only a 21-hour drive from where I am to Mexico City.
I'm not gonna lie. Now you got me thinking about it.
Serious. I would love to go to a live event.
CMLL. Okay. Yep. Road trip.
I mean, truly, because since watching CMLL, I have fallen in love with this whole company, the whole style, the culture, all of it. I just want to experience it in real life.
Yeah.
I just think that'd be so amazing.
We are going to make that happen at some point. If you want to support us, we have a GoFundMe. Just kidding. In all seriousness, though, since we started doing this and covering CMLL and just covering the wrestling that we do in general, I am super excited for the possibilities that we can do, and definitely taking the CMLL crew to a live CMLL show is definitely on my bucket list for those things. So we're gonna make it happen. We just need to get the funds to do so. So if you want to support the channel, I'm just kidding. No, I'm super excited, but this match ruled. This was a great way to start off the series of Amazonas matches that we got in the evening. And then it just kept going.
Man.
Oh my God. Okay. So not only do we see Miss Tessa Blanchard and Yuvia take on, our girls, our Joshi girls from Japan, and Miss Sayaka Unagi and Sumika Yanagawa. This was for the CMLL Women's Tag Team Championships too. This is a championship match. So, Will, you brought up the petiteness of, our Team World counterparts, and nothing that says more petite than Joshi women's wrestlers. The girls from Stardom, the girls from Japan in general are very, because a lot of the women's wrestlers are very they throw women's wrestling and idol culture in these, countries. So the women's wrestlers, especially in Stardom and things like that, the girls are also seen as the status of idols. So they are loved. They are things like that. It's craziness. I was not familiar with Miss Unagi and Miss Yanagawa's work outside of the clips I've seen on social media.
But you know their names now.
Oh my God. I was just like, why am I doubting? Japanese Joshi wrestling, especially on the women's side, it never fails to impress me, because those girls hit hard and they fly far too. And I was like, ooh, Yuvia and Tessa, you got they had to keep up, and they kept up very well. By the way, I loved the entrances for our Joshi girls. The towel / flag spinning of Sumika's entrance. I was just like, I'm in love. I'm going to follow that. This match flipping ruled.
It did. This was so good.
Holy shit. And at this point of the night, this ended up being my favorite match until we got later in the show. But holy shit.
So I got a question real quick.
What's
Can
that?
someone explain to me, because I saw it right there at the end when they were shaking hands and all whatever. What is the beef between Yuvia and I'm assuming it was Unagi? Did you see that Sayaka? When she went to, or whoever it was?
Yeah.
She went to Jen and she slapped her hand away, and they were like, "What? Do y'all know what that's about?" Or because I don't know the history.
I mean, it happened. It happened in the match, and it it pretty much broke down to Juvia using a what Sayaka thought was a dirty-handed technique, which got them the win.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that was the whole.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that was.
I didn't know if it was
why
like
she-
history or it was something that happened during the match. Okay.
So
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was that happened during the match. So which just now feeds. Gives
into
me
what we're getting this
fuel
Friday.
for this upcoming week, because this this match was ridiculous. I will be 100% honest, just like you said, I didn't know Sayaka Unagi and Sumika Yanagawa, and when I saw this match on paper, I didn't think it was gonna be as good, as much of a banger as it was. Oh man, I was riveted the entire time. I didn't, going into this, I thought this was going to be in essence a squash match, but I riveted the entire time, and there were a lot, there was a bunch of times that I thought I didn't think Juvia and Tessa Blanchard were walking out of that ring with their titles still. So, I am super excited for this Friday. And if moving forward, because I know that sometimes after the Grand Prix, some of the international wrestlers stay around Mexico for a little bit. I would love to see Juvia versus Sayaka, and
A one-on-one, mano a mano.
Yeah, in some shape or form,
Which I'd love to. And I'll give this final thought, but I want to give Papa Oso some time to talk about this match as well. So, Papa Oso, anything else to add to this championship match?
No, I mean it was good. It was really good. This was my match of the night until later on, but yeah, it was so good. I was very surprised by our international ladies. I was pleasantly surprised by our international ladies. So well done. And I agree. I mean, they were giving Tessa and Juvia a run.
Right? And that kind of brings up the point I want to talk about, because so it is no secret here on BC WrestlePod that Andrew, one of our other lovely co-hosts, is like the tag team wrestling person. Like if we go for tag team questions or anything, Andrew's our guy. When I tell you, while I was watching this match, I just had Andrew's voice echoing in the back of my head. I was just like, Sayaka and Sumika, like they were actual tag team, which is great, because a lot of women's wrestling in Japan, especially the Joshi style, is very faction heavy. So just, El Buntador has, the Luchador 101, like Lucha 101 classes. I'm going to just do Wrestling 101 class real quick. So for those of you, because for some reason, JVL has dubbed me as the Japanese wrestling expert, which I clearly am not, but I do watch a lot of Japanese wrestling here and there. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, a lot of the women's wrestling, which is called Joshi, as it's the style of wrestling that the women do over in Japan, Joshi style wrestling, as I said, is very team and faction heavy. So especially in Stardom, which is probably one of the bigger women's wrestling promotions in Japan, who works very closely with New Japan, so that's also a big name. Stardom has a lot of factions, and there's like 5, and so there's like 5 or 6 girls in each faction, and they also have singles, tag teams, and trios championships. So if you're looking for good examples of what women's tag team wrestling actually truly looks like outside of Mexico, Japan is the place to look at that, because a lot of these girls work together. And based on the little research I did on our participants of everyone involved in this Grand Prix for Friday, Sayaka and Sumika have tagged a lot of their careers. So they are very much an actual tag team, despite despite their looks being completely different. But they have worked as a tag team. And it definitely showed in this match, because literally these girls were doing tag team tandem offenses My favorite was like the double mid-air like kicks to Yuya and Tessa that they did. And they were so in sync and clean, which is another thing too that we don't see too often in tag team wrestling. Like the synchronicity between partners was amazing. Tessa and Yuya were able to make a comeback. They end up winning the belts, but man, this was, when I talk championship matches, this is what I want to see. This is a good example of what championship matches should be. Highly competitive. Even if the champions walk out of there, Tessa and Yuya had to earn that victory from Sayaka and Sumika. Oh my goodness. This match was amazing. Tessa and Yuya retain, and I cannot wait to see how this boils over into the Grand Prix on Friday. So now, funny enough, we get into our next match. So we take a break from the Amazonas action, but the high-speed nonsense does not stop here, because these 6 men, when I tell you, when I saw this was going to be on the show, I was just like, oh, this is going to be a good match. And this was a good match, you guys. So we had the team of Místico Atlantis Jr. coming off of a loss with Brian Cage for the ROH World Television Championship, and also in a very fun but tough bout, losing to Kyle Fletcher this past weekend at Collision. Atlantis Jr. is back in Arena Mexico, teaming up with Místico, and not necessarily a dark horse, but the Neon is also a part of this match. So I love seeing some of our not so at the top of the card wrestlers, more like the mid card, be able to be in these spots. And they take on probably my favorite team in CMLL ever. We have Ultimo Guerrero, Stuka Jr., and Gran Guerrero. And I'm just like, Team Thickamcgees, we are here again. I love you so much. This is a fantastic match again. And I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, but CMLL rarely disappoints me. It really does. Unless you're Chris Jericho, but I digress. Anyways, this match was a lot of fun. And I'm just like, yeah, this was as great as I thought it was going to be. I'm going to come to Papa Oso first. So, Místico Atlantis Jr. Neon, and then the Guerreros with Stuka Jr. How do we feel about this match?
Oh, this was a great match, but I'm going to talk about their entrances, or at least one of them, and that was Atlantis Jr.'s entrance. I love his mask because, we talk about it looks the 2 fish, but man, he was all dressed up like a jellyfish tonight. So
yes,
I love a fish and a jellyfish.
I love he's incorporating the faux fur into it. It's so good.
So funny. The other thing is that I just noticed it this time, and I know it's been there before, but I just noticed, and it drove me insane, is Ultimo and Gran Guerrero's wrestle gear. Their pants have that weird white jagged thing, and it's it points right in.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I was like, what in the hell is that? It bugged the crap out of me the whole match. But all that aside, I thought this was a superior match. And I know I'm a broken record too. I have yet to see a CMLL match that just was horrible. It was so good, and I agree. I love watching Ultimo Guerrero, Stuka Jr., and Gran Guerrero. I love watching them wrestle together as a team, because they're just like bulldozers.
Yeah.
It's and I mean, there was couple of times where Místico was getting his ass handed to him. They were just bulldozing him, and I was like, wow. There was and of course, Atlantis Jr. was getting the crap stomped out of him as usual. There's always at one point he gets the crap stomped out of him. But no, I thought this was such a great match. I love it. I loved it. And the minute I saw they were fighting, I was like, oh, this is going to be a good match, because they never disappoint.
Yeah. I do want to bring up the elephant in the room. And that was during the third pinfall. Neon. He did try to go to do one of his more difficult moves, where he jumps from one set of ropes to another set of rope and then does a 450 moonsault onto people outside of the ring. He jumped from the one set of ropes landed on the second set of ropes. I don't know if they were slippery or whatnot, but he fell, and he cracked his head, and fell pretty bad. Good on him. He was able to get up and kind of continue a little bit. Shortly after that, Místico did hit the Mística on, I believe it was Gran Guerrero, and the match did end in a win for our Técnicos. But Neon was stretchered out, and it looks like he is hurt. Nothing from the research I did, nothing has officially been said that he's going to be out for X amount of time or whatnot. But on his social media, he did thank fans for all the outpour of support that they are showing. And he did make mention that he is going to rise stronger from this fall than he has been before, which leads me to think that we might not be seeing Neon for a little bit, because that was an ugly fall.
It really was.
It was. Yeah. It's brutal. Anytime we see, wrestlers get caught live getting hurt, and that was a nasty. I was like, his head ricocheted off the floor, and I was just like,
it was.
I was just like, I hope, like, concussion protocol, doesn't matter if it's a concussion or not. I was just like, he ricocheted himself hard. And I was like, oh God, please check on that man to make sure he's okay. So, I mean, Abutador, I think you're right. So we are sending wishes, prayers, like all the speedy recovery to Neon, because I think he's great. And I would like to see him come back to the ring soon. But as it was said, our technical team of Místico, Atlantis Jr., and Neon do pick up the victory. This was a really fun match. Super excited.
Yeah.
No notes. I
would like to take this time. I would like to offer a prayer to the wrestling gods. Dear wrestling gods in the ether, thank you so much for letting worlds collide this past Friday's episode. And may the church say amen, because I don't even know. I cannot formulate words in the English language, let alone the Spanish language.
Good. It was fun. It was super fun.
Crazy. And like, this is going to sound crazy, you guys, but the delay of this match not happening last week was worth it. Like, holy shit. They realized it's like, we couldn't do it last week. So now we got like to bring it 2 times. But anyways, before I go any further and just gush about this match, in a very special mano-a-mano match, AEW versus CMLL, we had our homegirl representing CMLL and La Catalina, our former CMLL women's champion, because she no longer has the belt because she got eliminated during the first phase of it, taking on one of my personal favorite women's wrestlers of any promotion in 2024, and has deservedly earned the #1 spot of the PWI 250 Best Women's Wrestler of 2024 in Miss Timeless Toni Storm. First, we talk about Toni's entrance, because Will, like, you have seen us share clips of Toni Storm and just her persona and all that stuff. And I mean, we watched the whole entire promo she cut last week, but this was your first introduction to the whole regalia and entrance. So, Albuntador, like, thanks to your friendship with Adolfo, you have a little bit more, but I'm going to go to Will first here. So, Papa Oso, let's talk about everything. I want your thoughts on Toni Storm's entrance, her character, and talk about the match itself. So, like, I don't even know where you want to start with that, but I'm going to give you the floor. So just talk about all of this.
Well, at first, I didn't know what to expect, because, I don't really know. I didn't know Toni Storm. I didn't know anything about her, except for the little promos that I saw. And then I went and did a little bit of research, looked up some stuff, watched some clips. And I was like, okay, so I think I even... Oh, didn't I message you something? I messaged you something.
Yes, you, and I quote, Toni Storm is a classy bitch.
Yeah, that's correct. I was just like, wow. So yeah, I mean, from her entrance, I was completely like dare I say, starstruck, but it was just like watch it. I don't know if you guys know who Norma Desmond is.
Sir,
Okay,
look
well,
at who you're
I never
look.
know. I never know because some people go, "Who?" It's like, but
No, I know
she's
who you're
very
talking
Sunset
about.
Boulevard to me. She's very like Norma
Yes,
Desmond, very
yes,
I'm ready for my close up Mr. DeMille.
yes.
So anytime when she was walking in, that's all I was thinking was like I was like that's all I could see in my brain was literally like I'm ready for my close up Mr. DeMille.
So this is side tangent and kind of like leading into this since we're talking about Tony Stark's character. This girl has reinvented what wrestling characters are in 2024 because not once, but twice, or I even think 3 times, she even has gotten like special commentary entrances for Mr. Ben Wakowitz of the Turner Movie Classic Network, you know, who
Oh
we're all
wow.
familiar. So
Yeah.
literally, she has gotten to do collabs with them, and she's had like a faux like Tony Storm has premiered movies there too. Like it is, she has gone full commitment to the bit, and she is just, I agree, full character. Anyways, continue.
And now I love her even more. Um, and then the match itself was just entertaining. It was fun and thrilling and silly at times, and I love La Catalina. I love her too. I thought they were such a great matchup.
Yes.
They're
Yep.
so opposite because La Catalina is so like serious and in the moment, and Tony Storm is very much like, "Look at me, everybody, look at me," and I
Like
loved it.
Catalina with her pink fuzzy boots
Yeah,
and Tony Storm with her black boots.
yep. I just loved it. I thought it was
Yeah.
fantastic. I was kind of surprised. I mean, at first, and then I realized, but at first I was kind of surprised that this wasn't the main event. But then I didn't realize what the main event was, but I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense now." But this was such a fun match, and then I don't know, did you guys watch her little thing that she did after this was all
Yes,
filmed and everything?
Yeah.
Her
yes,
exit, it
Oh
yes.
was
yeah.
so great. That's when I sent you the message about Tony Storm as a classy bitch, and I was just like, I love her. She's like
Again,
she's one of my new favorite characters.
like
Absolutely.
listen, like AEW is an up and down roller coaster for the AEW crew to review, but Tony Storm ends up being the best thing half the time on the show, as well as MX. Oh my gosh! Okay, side note, Papa, also we got to introduce you to MXM Collection and the Outrunners. I think you would enjoy them so much, but I
Indeed.
digress. But El Butador, same question to you. Like all of this, how do
No
we feel?
notes. No notes.
No, no,
I
no, not
am.
us.
I'm going to spoil it. All right, and I'm going to say, good on Tony Storm for allowing La Catalina to pin her, and for La
Which is
Catalina to get the pin,
very
the
rare.
win. You
Most
know, Tony Storm is the #1 woman's wrestler in the world,
she's only been
right?
pinned by Mariah
She's a
May. That was it.
superstar, you know, and that. Talk about putting your younger talent over, you know,
That's what I'm saying. She's a
because
classy bitch.
yeah, like I totally thought that Tony Storm coming in, she was going to come in. The match was going to be great, which it was a great match, but she was going to get a win and walk out. No, like Catalina gets the pin, she leaves. Tony Storm has her starlet meltdown on the runway and says that she's coming back this year.
I'm so ready
Coming
for
back.
round two. I'm ready for
I'm
round two
so
with these
ready.
two.
So ready.
Like again, everything just kept getting better and better and better for the evening. And then
Yeah.
this match was like, okay, this might be my match of the night, you guys. But
Yep.
yeah, I'm excited. Timeless Tony Storm is coming back to Mexico at some point before the end of the year. So I am ready for a round two. And I was with you, Papa. Also, I was just like, alrighty. So I was like, cool. That was fun. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, that was a fun main event. And then they're like, let's get ready for the main event. I'm like, what do you mean Timeless Tony Storm and La Catalina wasn't the main event? I'm like, what is left?
Oh yeah.
Match of the night, match of the year. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this is probably, as of right now, until the rest of the wrestling federations come into for the rest of 2024, this may end up being, I have to revisit this and La Catalina versus Stephanie Vaquer, because Lord have mercy, this match was amazing. Holy shit. When you want to talk about powerhouse women going at it with each other, this is the match I'm gonna show my children one day. Like, holy crap. Okay, so this was the finals to determine who would become the next CMLL like women's universal champion. And so we have the winner of, you know, the phase 1, which was Zuxis, taking on the winner of phase 2, which was last week's winner, Persephone. And then these two just had a match. It was for, you know, one fall, and the winner becomes the new CMLL like Amazonas Universal Champion. I'm gonna say this, and I mean this in the loving way. We're far enough in so I can curse at these, and I mean this in a very uplifting and not demeaning way. These bitches fought. These bitches were fighting. Like, holy shit. These girls were out for blood. Like,
yeah.
I'm like,
yup.
I can't even express in words. Holy crap, this match was awesome. And
all I know is my girl won. That's all I care about.
Oh my god, spoiler alert. Persephone picks up the win here. She's our new CMLL Amazonas Universal Champion, but this fucking
match, yeah.
I need time. El Buntador, Papa Oso, whoever wants to go. I need to collect my thoughts because I still can't get over how great this match was.
If you get a minute, try to find this match and watch this match. If you are a wrestling fan, you will not be disappointed. We had two rudos going at it. Xerxes and Persephone, both rudos, I should say. I apologize. And they, not only the power, but also tons of agility. When Persephone does her like frog splash from outside, and then jumps up and then off, and so good. It's so good. Didn't know which way this match was gonna land throughout, which was great. They told such a fantastic story. This was the hype. This match was the hype. And Persephone walking away with it. Oh man, she looks she looks good normally, but she looks really good with that gold around her waist. And we're done. I'm done. Next.
I'm just like, woo, baby. This match was everything that I wanted. So, Papa Oso, final thoughts. Oh, good. Yes. No. Okay. So I will stall for time then, but I will give my thoughts to this, and then we'll go back to Papa Oso. But this match, and again, this goes back to a previous conversation I had over in NXT. We're in 2024. I believe that we are in a position as a wrestling fandom and wrestling promotions in general, where the talent in the women's division across the board is probably the best that it's ever been. And I know some folks are going to say, oh, but this era had the best women's wrestler, which is true. But I think because of the women that came before, and, just using my knowledge in general, like, because women's wrestling across the world is different, but like looking at the Jazzes and the Shaniquas and, the Mickey Jameses and the Melinas and like all the women that had to suffer through the era of just being nothing but a prop, and fast forwarding to where all those girls, and not just in the United States, but girls across the world, have cited all these women who were in the trenches to build the foundation. And we find ourselves in 2024 in a prime position where women's wrestling is probably the best it has ever been in any year of wrestling, and I will stake my reputation as a wrestling reviewer and a wrestling fan. There is no other time to get into women's wrestling than now, because there is so much that is offered here, and especially in CMLL, this match proved that these two are prime examples of what happens when you just tell two women to go out there and you give them free reign to do whatever they have to and whatever they want. And these girls put on one hell of a show. This is probably one of my favorite women's matches this year alone. That's saying something, because I've enjoyed a lot of women's wrestling across the world, but this is definitely ending in my top 3 by the end of this year. I just need to figure out where in 3, 2, or 1 is it going to end up. But now I'm going to pass it over to Papa Oso to give us any final thoughts, closing thoughts. These two, Zeuxis, Persephone, how do we feel?
Oh, my girl won. That's really all I give a crap about. I was like, yes. Even though I love both of these women, and if whoever had, even if Zeuxis had won, I would have been like, hell yeah, girl. But I'm a huge Persephone fan, and I was so excited that she won. I was like hooting and hollering. I was so excited. But yeah, this is, and I put the sort of a highlights in the chat if people want to go check out at least some of the highlights. But no, it was bad ass. This was so good. This is one of those matches that goes up there like and I keep comparing to this one, is the Mike Bailey Will Ospreay fight. It was like that caliber. It was so, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh, and I was like rooting for my girl, and I was just like, I was like in it. I felt like I was there, and it was so cool, and I was so excited, and I was super happy that Persephone won. So
yeah,
it was so good, so good.
Yeah, something just feels right about Persephone holding a championship in my eyes now. Like, it just suits her. And you know what? Well, this makes it interesting too, because I'm wondering how this plays into, because even though this was for a championship, both these girls are representing, opposite ends of the teams for the Grand Prix.
yeah.
Zeuxis is on Team Mexico, and Persephone is on Team World. So, I'm so excited to see how these two interact, especially everything that went down in this match. But congratulations to Persephone. Well deserved. Zeuxis, you did awesome. Well, this was a fantastic bout. And
Puerto Rican power.
Yep, and that's the end of this week's Viernes Espectacular. So this was a fantastic show. And honestly, this was a good primer for what's about to go down this Friday, which, before we sign off, it's time for the preview, in which I go over what to expect, because thank goodness CMLL advertises all their stuff ahead of time. But this Friday, October 25th, 2024, we have the International Amazonas Grand Prix Tournament. But before we get into all that, we do have a couple of other matches scheduled. So opening up the card on Friday is going to be a Relampago match, in which we're going to have Defunto take on one of our personal favorites here in Dulce Gardenia.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm so happy to see Dulce back on my TV screen. Like, love him. He's great. Love that. So then in our second match of the evening is going to be a tag team match, in which we have Angel del Oro y Niebla Roja taking on the team of Magnus and Rugido. So that's going to be a fantastic match. Then in a special event por el Campeonato Mundial. So basically, this is for contenders for a championship match. Averno versus our favorite pirate, Sandokan Jr.
Sandokan Jr.
Yes. And this has kind of been building for some time too over the last couple of weeks. So we're going to see this. This is going to be great. In our semi-main event for the evening, once again, we are going to have a fantastic match, because we have the team of Soberano Jr., Barbaro Cavenario, and the demasked Euphoria taking on the team of Místico, Máscara Dorada, and everybody's favorite knight in shining armor, Templario.
Yes. Yes.
So, Yes.
And I believe Euphoria has been wrestling since he's lost his mask, but I believe this is his first time back in Arena Mexico without a mask. So that's
this
a
is
big
gonna be
thing.
interesting. This is gonna be interesting.
Yep.
But then, of course, our main event is the Amazonas Grand Prix, in which we have Team Mexico taking on Team World. So, to give you the teams once again, and I correct myself because we said sanely before, but I'm going, rewatching clips. We have representing Team Mexico, we have Sanelli, because that's how the announcers. So, Sanelli, Reina Isis, Dark Silhouette, Zuxis, Lluvia, Hera, Kira, Amapola, Skadi, Princesa Sugit, which is representing Team Mexico. And then representing Team World, we have from AEW, Miss Willow Nightingale. From Ring of Honor, Red Velvet, who is also representing Colombia. Willow's representing the United States. Repping the U.S. from CMLL is Miss Tessa Blanchard, who is our captain and the winner of last year's Grand Prix. Representing the UK and representing Rev Pro Wrestling is Alex Windsor. Representing Chile and CMLL is La Catalina. Representing Japan is Sayaka Unagi. Representing New Japan Strong and the New Japan Dojo and Vietnam is Viva Van. Representing the United States and from CMLL is Persephone, our new CMLL Women's Universal Champion. Representing Costa Rica and representing, Costa Rican wrestling in general is Samantha Black. And then rounding out the team representing Japan is Sumika Yanagawa. Oh my goodness, these 20 women are about to kick all the ass, and I am so excited. If it was anything like our men's Grand Prix that we had over the summer, I am super excited.
Oh yeah.
But unfortunately, that's the end of the show. But we will be back next Wednesday to review the Grand Prix in all of its glory. So I'm super excited. And then, of course, we have a bunch of stuff going on BC WrestlePod. So make sure to tune in all that. But from us here at Los Lobos de la Lucha and the rest of the BC WrestlePod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you next week for the review of the Grand Prix. But until then, sayonara, adios, and we'll see ya later. Put those guns away.